Everybody, welcome to week 5 of the semester. So we're moving forward from the Old English period into the Middle English period now. And one of the best ways to get you ready for everything we're going to be reading is to read that section in the textbook called The Crises of the 14th Century. What the textbook does that's really cool is it not only tells you what all is going on, but it gives you some direct for what we call primary sources with people that were living there and some of their accounts of what's going on. So take a look at that. If those accounts are particularly interesting to you, there's a couple of discussion board prompts that you can follow there to use those accounts. In addition to that big section, we're going to start with Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Sir Gawain was one of King Arthur's knights and one of the legendary figures, and what's known most about him is his purity or his nobility. He's the knight of chivalry, and so it's a great text because of not only just of the story itself, but also of its historical significance. And so take a look at that in the intro to materials of it. Next week we're going to move on to Chaucer. I'm pretty sure most of you have at least had some exposure to Chaucer and the Canterbury Tales, but for this week we're going to work on Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. I think you'll really enjoy it. One of the things that you can start tracking as we move from the Old English period to the Middle English period and then on into the Renaissance after the midterm is how the shifting ideas of good and bad or honor or loyalty or good and evil start to shift. So in particular, thinking about something like Beowulf, where you have a very clear good guy and bad guy. And a lot of your discussion board posts, you talked about how that line's a little blurry with Grendel's mom because we think of something like motherly instinct, and maybe there's some more justification for that. That might be true, but certainly it's hard to read, at least the text doesn't read Grendel as any sort of good guy, or the dragon for that matter. The dragon perhaps even worse so. But we see a pretty significant change as we move into a discussion of something like Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. You have to ask the question, if the Green Knight is a villain, how is he a different type of villain? Because he doesn't seem to be the monstrous form and actions that we see from Grendel's mother, and the dragon at the end of the text. So I'm interested to see how you unpack that, and those shifting definitions of good and evil become even more interesting as we start moving toward Chaucer, the Canterbury Tales, because he really starts to question if these characters are supposed to be good, why are they acting this way? And if we might read, we're going to end up reading a tale called The Miller's Tale, where there's an open question of, does anybody qualify as a good guy here? So I think you'll really enjoy these shifting definitions as we move forward, because there's a little more nuance, a little more way for you to dig in to the text. So for this week in particular, there's a lot of resources available to you in addition to the readings from the textbook. The first is another BBC documentary about Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and it's written, the speaker and the guy who's putting it together is Simon Armitage, who's a poet, and he has a critical edition of Sir Gawain that's included in another anthology. But he also, we can really dig into the structure of the language as a poet and explain how it goes. Plus, he walks through some of these places that may have inspired Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. And so we get to see this really cool explanation of what the environment was like that he was living in, and what are some of the reference points, like the Green Chapel, what would that be like? And he walks through these places, and so it's really cool documentary. Now it's on the Films on Demand series, which is a service we have through AUM. So which is unfortunately not as easy to access as YouTube. So if you click on that link and it does not, or it asks you to log in, the best thing you can do is to go back to MyAUM, click on Films on Demand, and either type in Sir Gawain and find it that way, or go back to the Blackboard course, click on the link again, it should log you in automatically. It just has to go through the school portal, and if you don't log into that first, then it will try to make you log in externally. It's just kind of a mess. So that is there for you to view. There's also a lecture video that addresses some of the big themes of the 14th century, Sir Gawain, and some more feedback and tips for writing these discussion board prompts. And then there's reading notes, as you would usually expect, and then the discussion board has lots of prompts that you can choose from to see what you like, what works best for you. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. One thing that is important is that for a core class like this one, and during week 5, they ask all of the professors to contact Warhawk Warning if you have a non-passing grade in the class, so D, F, or D or F, or a failure due to absences or anything like that. So if your grade is like that after I finish grading the week 4 discussion board posts, I will email you directly to see if I can give you any help. But you'll also be hearing from Warhawk Warning as well. I want you to view that as an opportunity to just take advantage of any resources that are here for us. In general, I want to work with you to try to support what you're doing and to move you forward in the class. And even if you have a non-passing grade at this point, we can work together on that. So feel free to let me know if you have any questions or concerns. As always, you can reach me at email cmoody@aum.edu. And one more reminder, as I'm leaving these up for the entire semester, but you can go to the SEAL method, the templates from They Say I Say, as well as the grading rubric and example posts for the discussion board. Those are always going to be there, and they're good examples to take advantage of, and I will try to reference them in my comments, especially where I find them particularly helpful. Oh, and one more thing, sorry, that keeps coming up in the comments that I want to keep mentioning to you. There's a free service called Grammarly.com. They have a pay side too. I don't recommend paying for it, because if you sign up for Grammarly.com, it is a wonderful service that can really that is really useful for checking those grammar things that can slip through the final draft. I've found it tremendously helpful in my own writing, because not only does it show you what's wrong and help you fix it, but it also just through that process says, here's a suggestion, here's the actual thing that's wrong, and it gives you a good information on how to not just fix the one problem, but learn how to not do it in the future. So I recommend that source to you again, and as always, please let me know if I can do anything for you. Take care.